Man's Search for Meaning is one of the 10 most influential books in the United States, as selected by the Library of Congress. It has been translated into 24 languages and is famous throughout the world. The author, Viktor Frankl, was a renowned psychiatrist, nicknamed the Miracle Man of the 20th century. During the Nazi era, as a Jewish man, he was imprisoned in a concentration camp, a place known as a death factory. Yet, he not only survived that hellish cage, but also went on to pioneer logotherapy, therapy through meaning, reigniting a reason to live for countless desperate people. This book is divided into 2 parts. The first part records the author's experiences in the concentration camp. In the second part, he combines his experiences with academic theory to create a therapeutic method that helps people find the meaning of rebirth from a dead end and rediscover the magnificent path of their own lives. If I had to use 3 words to summarize this book, they would be choice, suffering, and meaning. A famous Russian novelist once said, "I am only afraid of one thing, not being worthy of my suffering. I have endured so much, and I must find meaning in what I have gone through." How do we turn pain into meaning? Perhaps it is only one step away, a step named choice. And the distance between each of us also differs in this one step. Crossing the mountains and rivers of this world, who isn't covered in scars? But when the storm passes and the rain stops, you will suddenly realize that all the pain you've encountered in this life was actually here to save you. If you are struggling with pain or despair in your life, if you are facing countless confusions, sorrows, and fears, you can find strength from this book. Hello everyone, and welcome to Love and Life, the channel sharing knowledge for holistic self-development through great books. This week, I want to share with you content titled, "Everything That Makes You Suffer is Here to Save You," through the famous psychology book, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Let's listen together. Choice. You can be robbed of everything, but not the right to choose. In the 1930s, all of Europe was plunged into the terror of Nazi Germany. At that time, Frankl was the head of the neurology department at a hospital in Vienna, Austria, and had a happy family. To protect Frankl's safety, the U.S. consulate in Vienna invited him to get an immigration visa. However, he could not bear the thought of leaving his parents, family, and patients behind. Therefore, he chose to stay. Unexpectedly, just a few months later, the Nazis occupied Vienna. He, his wife, parents, and siblings were all arrested and sent to concentration camps. Like Frankl, 1,500 other people suffered a similar fate. Many of them were businessmen, doctors, teachers, and scientific researchers. However, these once dignified and respected people were turned into prisoners, trampled and humiliated at will. They constantly faced the threat of the gas chambers, the crematorium, or being beaten to death. All the belongings they brought were confiscated, and they were locked up like livestock in barracks resembling a shed, which could hold a maximum of 200 people. Every day, they were given only a small piece of bread and a bowl of soup. All year round, they wore only a single set of thin clothing and had to repair railways, doing heavy labor. At night, they huddled on a wooden plank, 9 people sharing 2 blankets, using their mud-caked shoes as pillows. If they were even slightly careless or unlucky enough to encounter a guard in a bad mood, they would be brutally beaten. Even more terrifying, once their bodies collapsed and they could no longer do hard labor, they would be sent to the gas chambers to end their lives. In the concentration camp, almost everyone thought of suicide. The easiest way was to run into the electric fence. Therefore, ending it permanently was not difficult at all. Continuing to survive, to stay alive here, was the hardest thing. So what was it that allowed Frankl to not lose his will to live, but to even try his best to fight back and save his own life? For him, first and foremost, it was the power of choice. He always believed that even in the worst possible psychological and physical conditions, a person can still maintain a degree of spiritual freedom and independent consciousness. From there, one can choose one's own behavior and reactions and decide what kind of person one wants to become. The first time Frankl had to shower naked in the camp, he realized that, except for their naked bodies, everyone had nothing. Accumulated wealth was nothing. So many of your things, all the things external to your inner self, could be taken away at any time by some uncontrollable force. But the one thing that could not be taken away was your freedom to choose your reaction. We cannot control what happens in our lives, but we can control our emotions and actions when faced with these events. Every prisoner in the concentration camp faced the same, extremely harsh living environment, but their reactions were different. Some chose to give up. Some chose apathy. Some chose to persevere to the end. So, what will you choose when faced with pain? Think about the classic dialogue from the French writer. Do you truly love life? Yes, I love life. Have you ever suffered? Yes, a few times, but suffering itself is life. Human life is like the sea, with ups and downs, and no one knows where it will drift. Suffering is like the tides, rushing in wave after wave. In this world, there is no life that is only sweet without bitterness, nor any life that is only bitter without a little sweetness. Life is inherently full of ups and downs, and it always comes with suffering. That suffering could be the endless days of overtime, staying up very late and waking up very early, running around from one job to another just to survive. That pain could be when a loved one suddenly passes away, when you are left all alone, and it could also be an unfortunate accident that storms into your life. In this life, we will experience countless joys and sorrows. But no matter when that day comes, no matter how difficult life gets, it will all pass. Without experiencing a little cold, how can one see the stirring beauty of the peach blossom? Delicate flowers can still bloom in rock crevices. Towering trees can still stand proudly in a desolate land. And you can too. You will always have a choice other than giving up, letting go, or blaming yourself. It is the choice to dare to face the difficulties and never easily quit. As long as you do that, even if you are standing at the edge of an abyss, it cannot make you sink and fall. So remember, everything in this world has a cause and an effect. Everything that makes you suffer is here to save you. Suffering. What pains you will make you stronger. In 100 years of solitude, it is said, we walk on the eternal journey of life, running on a rugged road, reviving in failure, sorrow hanging all over our bodies, suffering falling everywhere. We are tired, but cannot stop. We are in pain, but cannot avoid it. Suffering is a normal part of life. If we understand this, our minds will be at peace, yet also full of strength to accept and face challenges. Suffering always has its good side. As the great poet Goethe once said, "Remember well all that suffering leaves behind. When the suffering passes, it will become sweet." Life is like a spice. The more life's ups and downs grind it, the more fragrant it becomes. Although Frankl had an intense desire to live, the day in day out torture also caused him to fall into despair, just like his fellow prisoners. He too suffered from severe edema, illness from chronic lack of food, clothing, and sleep. His feet were swollen, his knees couldn't bend, his feet had frostbite, and every step was excruciating. Later, when assigned to care for patients, he unfortunately contracted typhus and was almost sent to the crematorium. This experience of standing on the brink of death, time and time again, made him rethink the meaning of life. He observed all sorts of people in the camp and saw that as long as they held the image of a loved one in their hearts, they would never give up on their lives. Therefore, he decided not to let himself die numbly from exhaustion or disease, but to treat the concentration camp as a place to practice and forge his mind. When other prisoners were paralyzed and lost themselves, he taught them how to ignore their suffering with humorous jokes. When the prisoners were depressed and wanted to give up hope, he used speeches full of hidden meaning to encourage everyone to cheer up. Even while suffering from typhus and able to die from the disease or be killed at any moment, he continued to scribble notes on scraps of paper, preparing for the future publication of his psychology book. 3 years of imprisonment like this, yet it made his heart stronger and stronger. At the same time, he also gained a profound understanding of human nature, from which he developed a unique, one-of-a-kind psychotherapy. It was his physical pain that spurred his limitless spiritual motivation. Tagore once said, "Only after experiencing hell-like suffering can one develop the strength to create heaven. After the bone-chilling cold, the red rose blooms in the wind. After the pain of a broken wing, the eagle soars high in the sky." We are always afraid of failure, afraid of crisis in the face of suffering. But we don't know that it is precisely these bitter, uncomfortable things that create the path for us to rise. The people who make you grit your teeth in hatred, the things that cause you pain, will all turn into nutrients that help you be reborn. There is no pain that cannot be healed, no collapse that cannot end. Everything that is lost will return in a different way. Our human nature is to seek advantage and avoid disadvantage. But if we knew that it is in an environment of extreme hardship that humans have the opportunity to achieve spiritual sublimation, we would never see suffering as a catastrophe, nor feel ourselves unlucky when facing adversity. Frankl believed that suffering, misfortune, and death are all inseparable components of life. A person's life is not complete without suffering and death. A person in suffering can also hold their head high, taste the flavor that suffering brings, and be proud to have experienced that suffering. Dostoevsky said, "I am only afraid of one thing, not being worthy of my suffering. So, to be worthy of what we have tasted, what must we do?" Meaning, he who has a why to live can bear almost any how. This is a quote from Nietzsche, And it's also the motto Frankl used to explain the importance of life's meaning to a person. After all the suffering, there is meaning. In the concentration camp, Frankl witnessed many people die, not from lack of food or medicine, but because they had no reason to continue living. Statistics show that the highest death rate in the camps was around Christmas. And this was also true on the battlefields of World War II. This was because most prisoners hoped they could go home before Christmas. But when that hope was extinguished, their spirits collapsed. A weakened spirit causes the body's resistance to weaken severely, leading to death. In modern life, the same thing happens. Many people suffer from depression and psychological disorders because they cannot find the meaning of life. They lose direction in a society where they feel they are caught between existence and invisibility. Therefore, Frankl put forward the view that what keeps people going is not hope, but meaning. Humans live to find the meaning of their own lives. For humanity, this is even more important than achieving pleasure or avoiding pain. In the book, the author gives 3 different ways to help us find the meaning of life. Creating a work or doing a deed. In simple terms, achievement in work. Experiencing a state of care and love for a specific person. Having an attitude of courage in the face of difficulties, thorns, or grim moments in life. And nothing else in the world can so effectively help a person to survive as the realization that their life has meaning. The meaning of life includes a vast cycle from birth to death, which includes difficulties and hardships. Therefore, open your heart and experience this life, no matter how much suffering or happiness it contains. How much you can endure is how much you will achieve. After being rescued from the camp in 1945, Frankl found himself terribly alone. His parents, his brother, and his beloved pregnant wife had all died in the camps from illness and starvation. His fellow prisoners who survived with him had emigrated to other countries. With no relatives, no friends, he decided to return to his old profession as a psychiatrist to help those who had been mentally tortured after the war. He threw himself into his work, combining his own experiences with academic theory to create logotherapy. Through lectures and counseling, he saved many fathers and mothers who wanted to commit suicide after losing a child, husbands who could not let go of their deceased wives, and thousands of strangers living in despair. He rewrote the manuscript that had been confiscated when he entered the camp and spent 9 days completing man's search for meaning. Over the next 15 years, he wrote more than 30 other books and traveled the world to give lectures. His very experience of escaping death ignited his great enthusiasm for life, and he was always ready to taste new things. At the age of 67, he began learning to fly a plane and received his pilot's license after a few months. At the age of 80, he resolutely challenged himself with outdoor sports, climbing the highest and largest mountain ranges of 6 European regions. Until he was over 90, he still spoke with visitors from all over the world and personally answered letters every week to help people. Many people were deeply moved by his experiences and work. Harvard, Stanford, and other prestigious universities invited him to be a professor. Famous politicians, philosophers, and even Pope Paul VI read his books and traveled far to visit him. It can be said that the war destroyed Frankl's life and robbed him of his loved ones, but he chose to step out of the rubble of suffering and live, shining like a halo. There is a saying, "Suffering is a stepping stone for genius, a treasure for the capable, and an abyss for the weak." Suffering is always a test, a mandatory course in your own life. How much pain you can endure is how much you can achieve. From making a choice to rising above suffering, and finally, to comprehending the great meaning of life, Frankl's life has left an immortal inspiration for millions of people around the world. And the logotherapy he founded is still, and will continue, to help people. If you have studied psychology or watched the Love and Life Psychology book series, you might see that, compared to psychoanalysis, logotherapy does not focus too much on confronting the inner self and the past, but mainly looks toward the future, toward the main goal of existence. For Freud, he argued it was the pursuit of pleasure. Adler argued it was the pursuit of superiority, overcoming inferiority. Frankl, meanwhile, argued it was the pursuit of meaning. The search for meaning in life is the primary motivation for existence. The author of How the Steel Was Tempered said, "Man's dearest possession is life. It is given to him but once. A human life is like a rushing river. If it doesn't find islands or hit reefs, it's hard to make beautiful waves. To see fragrant flowers, birds, and fish, how can one lack the forging of nature? Life becomes better when we dare to proactively train ourselves in difficult circumstances. Only by crossing an unexperienced abyss can one climb a seemingly unconquerable peak. When an individual has successfully found meaning, they will not only feel happy, but also have the ability to face all difficulties in life. May all of us, when facing difficulties, suffering, and failure, look to the book Man's Search for Meaning and, like Frankl, rise above all suffering to have a strong inner self, unceasingly creative and enthusiastic about life. Enjoy your present life as if you were living for the second time. And if you want to learn more about logotherapy, you can also find the book Prisoners of Our Thoughts, which Love and Life shared in a previous video. I hope it will bring you much inner strength and wisdom to move forward through difficulties and live in the present. Finally, this week's video ends here. Thank you for listening. If you found this video helpful, please share it with those who need it. Don't forget to leave your feelings and thoughts in the comments below. Support me with a like, press follow, or subscribe, and turn on the notification bell to catch the newest videos every week. Thank you once again, and I'll see you in the next videos.